Thank you for listening to PoliticalStorm.com. I'm John Small. Some have said that the year 2016 and this election may be the year for a third-party candidate. So today, we're going to actually talk to a man who literally wrote the book about it. We've got Steve Nemerovski joining us, and he has written a book called Third Party. Steve, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, John.
We're glad to have you on the program. You've got the book Third Party coming out. I also see you've got the website thirdparty.today and the website noneoftheabove.us. And what is it that makes you say, you know what, now is the time for a third party in the United States of America?
I've been involved in politics for most of my career, and going back 10 or 12 years ago, a lot of the political work I do is in Illinois. Illinois is as dysfunctional as any state in the country, if not the most dysfunctional. And I just had reached the point where the two-party system wasn't working at all, and I decided it's the third-party solution that's the difference. Not that there aren't a lot of other ways to fix it, but most of the other ways to fix it require legislation, which requires the sitting Democrats and Republicans to fix things, which they're never going to do. So my theory is you've got to have a third party, and that third party's got to get a seat at the table to make things happen.
So, Steve, as you look at the third-party candidates that are running for president right now, is there one of the third-party candidates that you guys are backing and supporting?
I think to kind of stay on message, I've decided to not support candidates or parties, but I'm directing people to get to third parties and candidates so they can get educated. One of the things you find is that there are some terrific candidates and some parties out there, but people just don't find them. So part of my mission is to help them find those parties and those candidates.
Let's talk a little bit about your brand new book, Third Party.
Well, again, the book goes back to my notion that we need to have a third party to break this log jam. And, kind of like the old expression, everybody talks about the weather but doesn't do anything about it. Well, a lot of people talk about needing a third party, and I thought someone has to actually write a book to create a bit of a roadmap on how to get there. And my vision was I wouldn't just tell the story about how to create a third party, but give a vision of how a third party would need to be involved in governing as well. So it's eventually be a trilogy. The second book just came out this week. And again, it's a roadmap. So if you read the book, you get a sense of how this could be done. Particularly, my vision is we need to start at the smaller level, at the state and municipal level, and build kind of a farm system before you jump into the congressional level. And the second part of the theory is you look for states where maybe there's a close margin in the legislature, and a third party, by grabbing 5, 6, 7 seats, can swing the balance of power and again, give them the seat at the table they need to force the debate.
And I know as you look around the United States, there are some third-party candidates that have actually been elected into office, but when you look at it, it's not a bunch. There's certainly a majority of the people in the top two parties.
Oh, it's a super majority. There are, I think right now there's less than 25 sitting state legislators around the country, so we definitely need to ratchet up that number. Now this year, as you mentioned, particularly the Libertarian Party and the Green Party are getting an awful lot of attention. In the last election cycle, I think there was just short of 1,800 different third-party and independent candidates that ran for offices around the country, but again, only a handful won. I think given the attention they're getting this time around, you're going to see a big jump in that third-party election number.
Again, our guest today is Steve Nemerovski. He is the author of a book, actually a trilogy of books, he was just telling me. The book's called Third Party. Also, he's got the website thirdparty.today and the website noneoftheabove.us. And we're talking quite a bit today about third-party candidates. Now, one of the things I'll say is with the current system, the way it is, it seems like we go from one party to the other. Usually we're with one party, and when things are bad, we switch over to the other party. And when things are good, we stay with that party. But right now, we've got people mad at both sides of the aisle. We've got people with unfavorable numbers like we've never seen before. So one would maybe look at this election that we're looking at currently and say, this might be the election where a third-party candidate would have the very best chance ever. Donald Trump has unfavorable numbers. Hillary Clinton has unfavorable numbers, both of them very, very high. Do you think this election could be the election for a third-party candidate?
I think you could definitely see more candidates win. And one of the things we've set up on noneoftheabove.us is you can go there, and there's a section for third party. You can literally put in your address, and it will tell you all third-party and independent candidates that are going to be on your ballot. So part of that website is designed to let people find who their independent candidates are. because a lot of them don't get invited to the table for the debates. Sometimes the local newspapers don't even cover them. But if people want to find out who their candidates are, that's when you can go to the website at noneoftheabove.us, put in your address, and your candidates will pop up.
Of all of the third-party candidates that are running for the top spot, anyway, for the presidential election in 2016, Gary Johnson is the name that you see the most, and he's gotten some screen time on television. He's got some space in some of the different publications around the country, and definitely have some people online that are supporting him. But over the weekend, I actually saw Jill Stein on Fox News Sunday for the first time ever. Might have actually been her first television appearance. If not her first, it's got to be close to the first. But it seems to me like the media is really fighting between the top two candidates. How surprised do you think the media would be if a third-party candidate actually won this election?
Oh, absolutely. The media is not prepared for it. One of the problems we have, John, is today the media is also polarized. So a great portion of the media is either going to lean left or right, and that's their sole focus. And part of that game is when they focus left or right, they're only looking at the party that's really, their market share. So I think it'd be a big wake-up call for the media, and if they would pay attention to some of these candidates, again, I don't favor any one candidate, but I think some of their messages are very strong, and some people would say right now, how could they even do worse than what we're looking at? So yeah, big wake-up call.
Something interesting here, Steve. You were talking about how the media leans one way or the other. Lately, I've changed my practice in the mornings. I used to just turn on one channel and watch the news. Well, now I watch 4 different news channels every morning. It drives my wife crazy, but I watch Fox News, CNN, CNN Headline News, and MSNBC, and I flip back and forth between those 4 channels. The thing that is absolutely amazing to me is how we can watch the same exact story on one channel that we watch on another channel, but the story is completely different. There was even just recently on Facebook an article that showed a photo of the Wall Street Journal, the same exact issue, but 2 different areas of the country that it was going to, and it had 2 completely different headlines. One was very pro-Trump, one was very negative Trump. So it's just amazing to me how right-leaning or left-leaning the media actually can be, and what a difference that can make. When people are watching the news, they just believe that news to be true. But when they're putting their spin on things, the truth can look so different depending on which angle it's coming from.
Exactly. And I was reading recently that even when you're doing search on Google or when Facebook is sending you data now, they're skewing that data based upon what they think you want to see. Yeah. Interestingly, there is a site people may want to take a look at. I'll give them a plug. It's called All Sides, ALLSIDES. A gentleman named John Gable set that up. On All Sides, if you go there, he'll give you an issue, and then he presents all the stories from all the different spectrums. Like you said, you may see 6 or 7 stories there, and then they rate them from, on the liberal leaning, conservative leaning, and who's in the middle. So it's a nice one-stop shopping to get what you said, a good flavor of all the stories, and maybe you can assemble all the pieces and get a good picture of what the real facts are.
I'll have to take a look at that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, a couple years ago, and I don't remember if it was 4 years ago or 8 years ago, a friend of mine had shared this website with me, and for lack of a better word, it was kind of like Match.com for politicians and people electing them. But you could go in and fill out this little survey, and then it would match the candidate that best fits what you believe in. And I thought that was a fascinating idea. And I cannot for the life of me think of what the website was. So if anybody listening knows what the hell I'm talking about, how funny does that sound? But I clearly don't know where to find that, and I don't know what it is. So if somebody listening knows what it is, please comment below the story here at politicalstorm.com. Let me know what that is, because I'd love to find that again. It was such a cool website, and I thought it was a really fascinating tool to find out which candidate was really the best fit for what I believe in.
That's a terrific idea. I'm going to spit it back to you. If you find it, let me know.
I will definitely do that. And I really do hope somebody knows what I'm talking about. It sounds funny to say I don't know what I'm talking about, but hopefully somebody listening knows the website and they can share that, and then Steve will certainly share it with you. Speaking of sharing things, we want to make sure we talk again about the book, Third Party. Where can we find a copy of this, and how can people go about getting a copy of the book?
Well, today's actually our official release date, so thanks for asking. It is on all the major sites. It's on Amazon, Kindle, it'll be on the Apple sites. And as you mentioned, you can also go to my website, which is thirdparty.today, and you can find the book there as well. So I appreciate the free plug.
Well, we're certainly glad to let people know about this. And, the interesting thing is, each of the parties that are in power right now, the Republicans and the Democrats, at one time, they were the third party. So, it's not far-fetched to imagine a third party actually catching on and gaining some traction.
There's actually a website out that has an interesting spin on it, where it's Abraham Lincoln talking, and he's mentioning the fact that he was running as a third-party candidate. So some people think our greatest president came from a third party.
I actually saw that video as well. It was very funny. And, for the Democrats, the first Democrat was Andrew Jackson, and he must not have done a terrible job because, we honored him by putting him on the $20 bill. Well, at least for now. They say they're taking him off.
I've heard that.
Well, Steve, thank you again for visiting with us. I appreciate that a bunch.
Thank you, John.
Again, our guest today has been Steve Nemerovski. He is the author of a new book called Third Party. It's a 3-part book, and the second part came out today, so check it out. You can learn more at thirdparty.today or the website noneoftheabove.us. And again, Steve Nemerovski has been our guest. Thank you so much for listening to PoliticalStorm.com. I'm John Small.